Hi everyone, welcome to Medicine YouTube channel. In this video, we are going to see about the vertebral artery. It supplies brain, spinal cord, vertebra and meninges. Origin is it arises from the first part of the subclavian artery. It arises from the first part of the subclavian artery, which supplies brain, spinal cord, vertebra and meninges. Termination is, it terminates at the lower border of the pons and forms the basilar artery. Here it is the pons, this is the upper border and this is the lower border. It terminates here and it unites together. Right and left vertebral artery unites together to form basilar artery. The parts, it has 4 parts. The first part extends from the origin of foramen transversarium of the cervical vertebra C6 and it lies in the vertebral triangle. The first part arises from the foramen transversarium of C6 to the C1. Arises in the C6 vertebral triangle. It lies in the vertebral triangle. Vertebral triangle consists of medially. When we see that medially, it is made up of longus colli and laterally it is made up of scalenus anterior. Below it is made up of subclavian artery. The relation are anterior. What are the relations are? Carotid sheath, inferior thyroid artery, thoracic duct of the left side, vertebral vein, sternohyoid, sternothyroid and sternomastoid. For posterior, if we see the stellate and inferior cervical ganglia, cervicothoracic ganglia. It is otherwise known as cervicothoracic and inferior cervical ganglia or stellate ganglia, ventral rami of the C8 and T1, transverse process of C7, sympathetic chain. The development of the first part of the vertebral artery is dorsal division of the 7th cervical intersegmental artery. There is no branches in the first part of the vertebral artery. Now you will see in the second part. The vertebral artery consists of 4 parts. Now you will see in the second part. It lies in the foramen transversarium of the upper part of the C6 vertebra to the T1 and surrounded by the sympathetic nerve. When we will see the relation posteriorly to the ventral rami of the C2 to C6, development is from postal costal anastomosing arteries. The branches are, it gives intravertebral branches supplying the spinal cord and the vertebra and covering the spinal cord. Third part, it lies in the suboccipital triangle, extend from the foramen transversarium of the atlas to the foramen magnum. I will explain the 3 parts here. First part is from the subclavian artery. Origin is from the subclavian artery to the C6 vertebra. C6 vertebra, it enters into the foramen transversarium. It's the first part. From there, from the C6 cervical vertebra to the C1 cervical vertebra, it extends above, which is the second part. It enters in the foramen transversarium. From the C1, which is the atlas to the foramen magnum, which is the third part. Now you will see the third part of the vertebral artery. Extends from the foramen transversarium of the atlas to the foramen magnum. Development. Dorsal branch of the first cervical intersegmental artery. Now you will see the relation. Anteriorly lateral mass of the atlas, splenium capitis, semispinalis capitis and trapezius. Inferior dorsal rami of the C1, posterior arch of the atlas. Medially ventral rami of the C1 and laterally rectus capitis lateralis. The branches are muscular branches supplies the suboccipital muscles. Now you will see the fourth part, which is called intracranial part because it enters to the cranial cavity and it ends in the lower level of the pons. It extends from the foramen magnum of the lower border of the pons to the lower border of the pons and unites to opposite artery to form basilar artery. The 2 vertebral artery unites to form basilar artery. Now the development. Preneural branch of the first cervical intersegmental artery. It lies on the clivus. The branches of the fourth part are, there are many branches here. The medullary branch supplying the medulla, anterior spinal artery which supplies the anterior part of the spinal cord, posterior spinal artery which supplies the posterior spinal cord, posterior part of the spinal cord. If this is the spinal cord, the first 1/3 is supplied by the anterior part of the spinal cord, next 2/3 is supplied by the posterior part of the spinal cord. Meningeal branches supplies the meninges covering the medulla. Posterior inferior cerebral artery supplies the lower part of the pons, cerebellum, posterolateral aspect of the floor of the fourth ventricle. These are the branches of the fourth part of the vertebral artery which are most important. Now you will see the applied anatomy. Any lesions of the artery clot in the artery cause closure of the artery which causes Wallenberg syndrome or lateral medullary syndrome. This is the applied aspect. Any clot or any closure in the artery which causes Wallenberg syndrome and lateral medullary syndrome. Thank you. For more videos, please do like, share and subscribe my YouTube channel. If you have any doubt in it, please do comment it. If you want any other new topic, please do comment it. Thank you.